The stars were quiet. The human colony on the edge of Sector 19 lived in peace. Farmers grew food, children played in fields, and people believed war was a thing of the past. Then the signal came. It wasn't a message. It wasn't even a threat. It was a silence too loud to ignore. An entire scout station went dark. Captain Rayan stood inside the command center of Earth's warship, HSS Valor, watching the black screen. They didn't even try to hide, he said calmly. His second in command. Myra frowned. Alien fleet jumped in. 50 ships. Heavily armed. Rayan didn't move. He just stared at the map. Bright red dots appeared across the outer zone, surrounding the human colony called New Horizon. The alien fleet was closing in fast. Earth Command sent a single line of orders. Observe. Do not engage. Reinforcements en route. But Rayan knew better. We won't last long if we wait, Mira said. We won't need long, he replied. On the alien flagship, High Commander Krell laughed loudly. One ship? They sent one warship? He growled. His bridge crew shared in his laughter. Their fleet had crushed stronger enemies. Humans were soft, weak, emotional. They would surrender after the first volley. Krell opened a wide-channel broadcast. This is Commander Krell of this Arctic Empire. Abandon your post. Surrender your warship or be turned to dust. Back on the Valor, Myra looked at Rayan. Should I respond? Rayan shook his head. They already made their choice. He walked over to the command console and tapped a screen. A new interface appeared. Combat mode locked. The Valor was designed for peace missions, but hidden inside, it was tech that even Earth's allies didn't know existed. Inside the alien fleet, sensors picked up something strange. Commander, an officer called. That human ship ... It's powering something ... unknown. Krell snorted. Let them power up. Their toys won't save them. But the sensors didn't lie. The Valor's core glowed with blue light. Systems began humming. Energy surged through its weapons grid. Hidden panels opened across its hull. Then the first alien ship fired. A single plasma torpedo flew through space toward the human ship. Mira watched the screen. Impact in 5 seconds. Let it hit, Rayan said. What? The torpedo smashed into the Valor's shield. A bright blue flash covered the ship. When the light faded. Nothing. Not even a scratch. On the alien bridge, Commander Krell froze. That was our strongest shot. The Valor responded with silence. Then it moved. To outsiders. It was just a slow glide. But for the trained eyes of any commander, it was a sign. The hunt had begun. Myra whispered, They fired first. Rayan nodded. Then we end it. He pressed one button. Railgun online. A long metallic barrel extended from under the ship's belly. It hummed. For a second, then a flash silent in the void, and one alien ship vanished from the screen. Commander Krell jumped to his feet. What happened? Ship 27 is gone, sir. Just ... Gone. No explosion? No time for one? Krell looked at the screen again. One moment there were 50 red ships. Now there were 49. A second later, 40-8. The human warship was moving between them like a ghost, faster than they expected, stronger than they believed possible. This is a trap, Krell shouted. Find the others. There are no others, his officer whispered. It's just ... them. Back on the Valor, the crew worked without panic. Missiles launched, drones deployed. Lasers fired in silence. Each shot found its target, each alien. Ship that tried to flee was tagged, tracked, and erased. Why aren't they responding? Myra asked. They weren't ready, Rayan answered. They thought humans were weak. They thought wrong. He looked at the red dots blinking out one by one. They ignored our warning, he said. Now they learn. As the alien fleet struggled to regroup, panic spread. Commander Krell gave one last order. Retreat! But the space behind them shimmered. A drone wall closed the path. Escape was no longer possible. Back on Earth, the general watched the live data feed in silence. Sir, an officer said, should we send backup? The general leaned forward, looking at the screen, showing the Valor carving through the alien fleet. No, he said. They should see what one human ship can do. Asterisk, the wreckage of 3 alien ships floated silently in the cold of space. Inside the human warship HSS Valor. Everything was calm. No one shouted. No one panicked. Only quiet voices gave short commands. This was not their first battle. This was practice. Captain Rayan stood at the front of the bridge, eyes locked on the tactical display. Red dots alien ships were blinking. Out one by one. They're changing formation, Mira said. Trying to flank us from 3 sides. Rayan simply said, let them. Commander Krell's face was no longer filled with pride. Sweat rolled down the side of his neck. 4 ships. Gone. No human casualties. No damage to the Valor. He slammed his fist on the command panel. Surround it. Fire everything we have. I want that human ship destroyed. The alien fleet broke into 3 attack waves, each coming from different angles. Missiles, plasma bolts, and energy bursts filled the void, closing in on the lone Terran ship. Brace? Mira asked. Rayan shook his head. No. Watch. The Valor's hull shimmered. Its adaptive shield, a secret Earth technology, changed color. It didn't just block the attacks. It absorbed them. The energy blasts disappeared into the shields. Surface like rain into sand. Redirect, Rayan ordered. A technician turned the dial dot suddenly. The energy that had been absorbed fired back. From the rear of the ship, a wave of stolen energy was unleashed like a storm. It arched through space and slammed into the first group of alien cruisers. 2 more ships exploded. Another spun helplessly, burning. On the alien bridge, everything was chaos. Our weapons, they're being used against us. One officer shouted. Commander. Krell growled. Impossible. Human ships can't do that. This one can. Another officer whispered. Krell knew now. He underestimated them. This was no patrol ship, no basic warship. It was a message in steel and fire. Back aboard the Valor, drones launched from hidden ports. They were fast, silent, invisible to most sensors. The drones weaved through debris and shields like shadows, targeting the engines of enemy vessels. They didn't explode, just cut power silently. Alien ships began drifting helplessly. They can't run, Myra said. They won't get the chance. Rayan replied. He pressed another button on the panel. Pulse cannons, fire. From the sides of the Valor, glowing blue rings shot out. They pulsed with heavy shockwaves, designed not to destroy, but to collapse internal systems. Alien shields shorted. Bridges went dark. Lights flickered off. In less than a minute, 5 more ships were dead in the water. Commander Krell grabbed the armrests of his chair, knuckles white. This is not war. This is slaughter. The crew around him were silent. No one laughed now. No one spoke. Some even looked afraid. Not of the humans, but of their own commander for bringing this upon them. Pull back, now. But sir, they've cut our exit. What? A new alert appeared. The human ship had circled them fast, precise. Drones now blocked their path back to the jump gate. The alien fleet was surrounded. Meanwhile, Rayan walked across the bridge slowly, his tone calm. They wanted to show strength, he said. They wanted us to bow. He turned toward the screen, showing the crippled fleet ahead. Now they kneel. The Valor fired a single missile. It didn't explode. Instead, it stopped just above the alien flagship dot. Then it released a wave of light, a code. On the alien flagship, the crew stared at the screen. "What is it?" Krell asked. "A message. Someone said the human ship had sent a message using light. This is your only warning. Turn back or vanish." Krell's pride burned in his chest. He should have listened to the first warning. But now, he was trapped. His ships were falling one by one. His enemies didn't gloat, didn't mock. They didn't even speak. Humans didn't threaten. They acted. He stood up, voice low. "Send the surrender signal." But it was too late. A deep vibration ran through the Valor's hull. A new sound echoed across the ship. Mira looked nervous. "You're really going to use that, sir?" Rayan nodded. "They asked for war. Let them understand what it truly means." He entered the final command. Release judgment mode. Hidden. Compartments along the Valor's spine opened slowly, revealing a dark, humming weapon project. Silence. In space, everything stopped for a second. No gunfire. No movement. Just silence. Then a beam of pure light stretched from the Valor, thin and precise. It touched the enemy's second largest cruiser. There was no explosion. The ship just disappeared. Gone. Atoms scattered in every direction. Back on Earth, every high command officer watched in stunned silence. One of them finally whispered, "We only gave them one ship." The alien fleet hovered in pieces. Ships burned. Others drifted, powerless. The stars were now littered with broken metal and lost hope. Inside the alien flagship, Commander Krell stood in disbelief. "This isn't a war," he whispered. "It's a message." His crew didn't speak. Not anymore. Some stared at their hands. Others refused to look at the screens. Their once mighty fleet had been reduced to silence by one human ship. And now they were trapped. Krell turned to his officers. "Find the other human ships. This has to be a trap. No single vessel can do this alone." One of the sensor operators checked again, sweating. "Sir, I scanned the system 4 times. No support ships. No reinforcements." He looked up, voice shaking. "It's really just them." Aboard the HSS Valor, Rayan stood near the central display. The AI calmly counted enemy losses. Ship after ship turned gray, marked disabled or destroyed. Mira leaned forward. "They're hesitating." "They should," Rayan replied. She looked at him. "Sir, why didn't we send more ships?" Rayan didn't blink. "Because the galaxy doesn't learn from words. It only learns from wreckage." Across space, the remaining alien fleet tried one last trick. They regrouped tightly, forming a defensive circle, a last stand. They activated every jammer, every shield system, every drone they had left. Commander Krell barked the orders. "Deploy. Counter-swarm. Block their AI. Jam their sensors." He paused. "This is the final stand. Prepare for ground war if necessary." But it wouldn't come to that. Back on the Valor, Mira raised an eyebrow. "They just activated full jamming tech. Trying to blind us." The crew looked concerned. If the jamming field worked, the Valor's targeting systems would fail. Rayan smiled slightly. "Good, now it's time." He tapped the screen. Manual override. Human command only. The system beeped. The AI handed over all control to the captain. One by one, targeting reticles appeared, drawn by hand. Rayan zoomed in. He studied the alien formation. He didn't blink. He didn't rush. He just said, "Watch this." From the side of the Valor, 2 railguns extended. They didn't fire immediately. Instead, they rotated, aimed, and then fired 1 shot each. The shots were so fast, the alien sensors didn't see them. But a second later, the jamming source exploded. Then the shield generator ship blew apart. One by one, every tool the aliens were hiding behind vanished. The alien flagship shook violently. Krell fell to one knee. How ... How are they doing this? A junior officer sighed. Sir, he's targeting manually. What? Krell shouted. They're not using sensors, not AI, just a human brain. The aliens went silent again. That one fact hit harder than any railgun. The enemy captain wasn't just skilled. He was reading them like a book. Inside the Valor, Mira whispered, That was amazing, sir. Rayan nodded slowly. They're soldiers, trained, but they're predictable. She looked down at the remaining ships. What now? Rayan looked up, eyes cold. Now, we break their will. The Valor's engines roared, something it hadn't done before in this battle. It charged forward directly into the alien circle. The enemy ships scrambled, trying to adjust. But the Valor didn't attack from a distance now. It flew through them. Turrets on every side rotated, auto-tracking targets. Miniguns fired silently in space. Lasers cut engines. EMP bursts disabled escape pods. Drones followed any ship that ran. It was no longer a battle. It was a storm tearing through. Survivors. Commander Krell stood on his collapsing bridge. The walls were sparking. The lights dimmed. One final screen still worked, showing the human ship, slowly turning back toward him. The Valor hadn't even used its full power. He knew now, Earth didn't just win this fight. They wanted him to live, to tell the galaxy. Raya gave one final order. Leave the flagship intact. Let him crawl home. Myra asked, Mercy? No, he said softly. A reminder. The Valor stopped firing. One alien ship, just one, was left floating in silence. Commander Krell sent a single message to his empire. Do not challenge Earth again. They sent one ship, and we never stood a chance. The battle was over. Only one alien ship floated in the void, broken and silent. The rest were gone, destroyed, disabled, or scattered as wreckage. Metal chunks drifted like cold ashes of pride. Inside the human warship HSS Valor, the crew watched quietly as the tactical screen cleared itself. No celebration, no cheering, just silence. Captain Rayan stood at the center, eyes still focused, as if the fight hadn't ended yet. They'll call this massacre, Mira said softly. No, Rayan replied. They'll call it what it was, a lesson. Far away on the edge of the sector, listening stations from several alien empires picked up the battle logs. One by one, the data spread, video feeds, weapon signatures, destruction timelines. A fleet of 50 alien warships, defeated by one Terran vessel in under 18 minutes. And not just any vessel, a Deathworld-class ship. Fear rippled through the galaxy like a shockwave. On the planet Kalis Prime, leaders of the neighboring Draxer Union sat, frozen in their meeting chamber. They destroyed a command fleet, one general whispered, with no support. And minimal damage, said another. A minister stood up. Earth has hidden its true power. We must reconsider our approach. Suddenly, Earth was not seen as a young species anymore. It was now a force with ancient fury, waiting behind calm eyes. Back aboard the Valor, Rayan walked the silent halls of his ship. Every step echoed through the metal corridor. He entered the drone bay. Dozens of small war machines hovered in standby mode. Each had returned unharmed. He whispered, almost to himself, We never fired everything. Mira stepped beside him. They never saw the worst. No, Rayan said. They saw what we wanted them to see. On the last surviving alien ship, Commander Krell sat alone in the ruined command chair. His crew had evacuated. His systems were down. But he stayed, staring at the silent stars. He had challenged the humans, mocked them. underestimated them. He had called Earth a planet of farmers and diplomats. Now he understood. Earth was not just a planet, it was a death world. Its people were not trained killers. They were born in storms, raised in chaos, and built for survival. He knew this would be his final command. He activated the ship's last signal beacon and recorded a simple message. To all who hear this, do not provoke the Death Worlders. They fight not with rage, but with silence. And silence is more terrifying. Back on Earth, the High Council of Planetary Defense received the full report. A tall woman in a gray uniform read the file, then looked at her advisors. "We gave them a chance to avoid conflict," she said. "They refused," replied another. "And now?" She tapped the screen. "Now ... They know who we are." In deep space, the Valor continued its path toward Earth. The crew moved without speaking much. Their job was done. The sky behind them burned with the remains of prideful enemies. Myra broke the silence. "Captain ... Was it necessary to go that far?" Rayan looked out the viewport. "You don't understand death worlds until you've lived. On one, we survive ice, fire, storms, starvation, even each other." He paused. "Peace is earned when your enemy fears waking you." Mira nodded slowly. She understood now. 3 days later, a diplomatic request was sent to Earth by the Zardak Empire, the same empire that had attacked first. But this time, their message was different. "We surrender our military ambitions. We request peace. We will no longer enter Terran space." The galaxy watched as Earth responded with only 2 words. "Understood, observed." That was it. No threats, no demands, just the quiet voice of a death world. Species that didn't need to shout to be heard. In a bar on Mars, an old soldier watched the news feed replay the battle. He chuckled and sipped his drink. "Told them." He muttered. "Told them humans aren't to be measured by size or fleet count." The bartender leaned in. "What should they measure us by then?" The old man grinned. "By what's left of the other side." The HSS Valor moved through silent space, like a predator that no longer needed to hunt. Behind it, the remains of an entire alien fleet floated in ruins. In front of it, the path to Earth was clear, and across the galaxy, everyone was listening. Now, but Rayan wasn't finished. Inside the warship's command center, Mira looked at her captain. His face was calm, unreadable. But there was something else in his eyes, something deeper. "Sir," she asked, "why didn't we destroy the last ship?" Rayan replied without turning. "Because words fade, but a witness echoes." On the broken alien flagship, Commander Krell was alive barely. He sat in the med bay, patched up by emergency bots. The ship's engines were offline, shields shattered, weapons gone. All he had left was a beacon and a voice. He sent a message on the Galactic open channel. It wasn't a cry for help. It wasn't a warning. It was a confession. "To all species within range, hear me. We challenged a Terran warship. We believed them weak. We were wrong. 1 ship, 1 captain. That's all it took to end us." The transmission was short, but within hours, it reached 1,000 systems. By the next day, it was being played in council rooms, military academies, and royal halls. Galaxy didn't laugh at humans anymore. They whispered on the Valor. Mira watched the alien transmission play again. "It's spreading fast," she said. "Everyone's afraid." "Good," Rayan replied. "Is fear really the message we want to send?" Rayan looked at her. "Peace isn't protected by hope, Mira. It's protected by memory. They'll remember this." He turned to the console. Time to give them something they won't forget. In the weapons bay, the Valor's final drone was launched. It wasn't a weapon. It carried no bombs, no scanners. It carried a box. Inside the box was data, a complete recording of the battle, from the moment the first shot was fired until the final ship stopped moving. The drone shot across space toward the Galactic Council's headquarters on Iskaron Prime. It moved without cloaking. It made no attempt to hide, because the humans wanted it to be seen. On Iskaron Prime, the Council received the drone 2 days later. They opened the box. They watched the footage. Every council member sat in silence, watching the Valor, a single human vessel, erase a fleet in minutes. When it ended, no one spoke. One of the members, a reptilian elder, broke the silence. "This is not war," he sighed. "This is a warning, carved in fire." Another added, "Earth has kept its power hidden." "And now?" The elder replied, "Now they've shown just enough to end all doubt." Back on Earth, the High Command held a quiet briefing. "Responses from 23 empires," the aide reported. "Most are halting military operations near Terran zones." "Any threats?" "None. Not a word," the commander nodded. "Then it worked." A diplomat nearby asked, "So what's our message?" The commander smiled slightly. "We sent no threat, no speech, just action." He raised his eyes to the room. "Let the galaxy write our story for us." On the Valor, Rayan sat alone in his quarters. The stars moved slowly outside the window that Mira entered quietly. "Sir?" He looked up. "We've been recalled to Earth. Celebration," they said. "Honors, medals." Rayan smiled faintly. "Let them keep the medals." He stood and walked to the window. "Let them remember the silence before the storm and the wreckage that followed." As the Valor entered Earth's orbit, a final message was transmitted across the stars. This was not a show of strength. It was restraint. Imagine what would happen if Earth ever stopped holding back. And with that, the galaxy learned something new. The Terrans were not just dangerous. They were disciplined, quiet, and ready. Asterisk above Earth, the HSS Valor hovered silently in high orbit. Its hull was spotless, its systems undamaged. The only mark left by the battle was the reputation it carried now across the stars. Inside the ship, Captain Rayan stood at the viewport, staring down at the blue world below. Cities lit up the continents like veins of gold. Ships moved in formation. Life carried on peaceful, unaware of how close it had come to danger. Behind him, Mira entered, holding a small data pad. "Sir, command says the galaxy is quiet. All borders secure. No fleets near Terran space." Rayan didn't respond. She waited and asked, "How do you feel?" He turned, voice low. "Like we gave the galaxy a gift they didn't deserve, peace." Across the stars, the message had already taken root. The Zardak Empire, once proud and ruthless, now dismantled half its fleet. Soldiers returned home. Factories stopped building warships. The Emperor issued a strange public order: do not challenge those who come from storms. We tried, we lost, and they only sent one ship. In the Grand Archives of the Galactic Council, a new entry had been added to the War Codex. Humanity, Tier Black Threat. Subclass, Deathworlders. Status, do not engage without diplomatic resolution. Alien scholars argued over what to call this incident. Some named it the Valor Massacre. Others called it the Silence of Fire. But most just referred to it with 2 words: the message. Back on Earth, inside a quiet forest facility, leaders of the Terran Defense Council gathered around a round table. An old general placed a holomap in the center. It showed Terran space and dozens of new incoming diplomatic requests. "All want peace now," he said. A woman beside him smiled. "They've seen what happens when we stop being silent. But will it last?" Another asked. The general shrugged. "It will, as long as they remember." In a school on Luna Station, a child asked her teacher, "Miss, Is it true one human ship stopped a whole alien army? The teacher smiled, then turned to the class. It wasn't just a ship. It was a message. The students leaned forward. She continued. The message wasn't about power. It was about what happens when the quiet ones finally speak. On the alien world of Valrin, once a strong military hub, statues of fallen warriors were replaced with a monument at sea, black steel sculpture shaped like a Terran warship's railgun barrel. Beneath it, the words were carved in 3 languages. We laughed at them. They answered in silence, and left us in ruin. Meanwhile, the HSS Valor sat in dry dock, under repairs that weren't needed. The crew was offered rest, praise, awards, but Rayan declined them all. He stood on the observation deck, watching a new class of captains train in the simulators. Below, Mira walked beside him. "You're not going to the ceremony?" He shook his head. "No, they don't need a hero." "Then what do they need?" Rayan answered softly, "They need to remember." Far across the galaxy, in dark corners where warlords whispered and pirates ruled, stories spread in hushed voices, not of Earth's armies, not of Earth's colonies, but of one warship, one captain, and a single battle that reshaped the galaxy. No anthem was sung, no speech was given, no demands were made, but every star remembered the day when an alien fleet arrived full of pride and left behind only wreckage and fear. And Earth? Earth said nothing at all, because the message had already been delivered. Asterisk.